Julie has mentioned the U.S., I believe he's a senator?
Yes.
Coons. And he's in the country. But Raila Odinga has taken, I'm not entirely sure what their position is on the international community, but do you think Kenya should be left to its own devices in this situation, or do we need a big brother to bridge the peace?
I think we've been dependent on the international community to mediate on our political, instability. We saw that in 2008. I think there was even the first attempt and Kenyans refused, and then now the Kofi Annan led. And now, even during the handshake, we saw also the USA, being part of that, mediation around, and now even at this time. But I think what is very important is for Kenyans to craft their way of what is practical for our country, even as we try to have discussions on how we can enable the implementation of the Constitution. And currently, citizens are really very anxious. They need direction. They are even wondering whether these protests are going to be continuing like this. Some are, thinking that probably this is something that is going just to fade in the next few weeks. But we're asking ourselves, will the agenda have been, achieved by the protesters? I've even seen conversations around narrowing these to...
All right, Joshua, I'm sorry to cut you short, but I'm told we do have an update now. And from Karen, I'm told Kalonzo Musyoka is speaking. Let's listen in.
Program for next week. But today we thought that we need to point out the fact there was a definite attempt on the life of Honorable Raila Odinga. If this vehicle...
All right, that is Kalonzo Musyoka. They've retreated, and yes, we'll bring you details in our broadcasts, but it appears they're taking issue with the sort of damage that has been done. They came by the police to their vehicles, and then he was saying they view that with suspicion. I'll leave him to speak for himself, but the National Police Service also an hour ago released a statement, and they said... let me just pull it up. So we saw the images that Raila Odinga shared, and they talked about the brutality, the damaged windscreen and such. The National Police Service also issued a statement to the effect... Just give me a quick second to pull it up. Here it is. The National Police Service has noted with serious concern a lot of propaganda circulating via social media amidst the ongoing Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance demonstrations in Nairobi. The latest being the falsehood that NPS is abetting hired goons to cause mayhem in Nairobi. And Joshua, we'll be winding up. I've been told we won't go all the way up to 6. We're winding up in the next few minutes. But do you think there needs to be... the rhetoric needs to be measured from all the parties at this stage, at this point in things?
Yeah, there should be some level of responsibility by all actors, right, even from the protesters themselves, because they should be able to also organize their teams and not, meet blame games on the police, or the police also blaming the protesters and all that, because it will be a cycle. And this is creating anxiety in our country. And I was saying that active discussions are now on that this is narrowing to only 4 counties in our country, that is Nairobi, Homa Bay, Migori, and Kisumu. The banning of the UDA offices in Kisumu and today in Siaya, I mean, it's not a good picture for our democracy. I'm not quite sure whether that goes very well, even for citizens that are from the stronghold of, this political party. I mean, it just sends a very bad message, because I think the issues that have been lined up for this protest is not about the offices of UDA. I mean, the hooligans, that were involved in that, are people who've just taken advantage of the situation, and they are sending a very wrong message. I mean, whether it's political or whether it is, by design or even stage managed, because there are possibilities of that. And you mentioned that the police have also raised concern about the propaganda. I think that is also should be a concern for every Kenyan, because I think Kenyans deserve to have accurate information from the public, ongoings, and even from the state. And I think it's high time now the government gives us also clarity on how the ongoings needs to be handled moving forward, whether through the provisions of the law, the constitution, or even the actors. Because the political elite are not people who are strangers to each other. The two political divide have worked together in the past. When we saw in 2007, the kind of, the push and pull, you see even this order that we are having currently, those that are in one side were on the two opposing sides in 2007. There's the same personalities. But we ask ourselves, must the Kenyans really suffer as a result of these interests of these, political groupings that we're having in our country? Okay. And the last bit is that I think there is confusion here that if we implemented our constitution to the fidelity and even had Kenyans owning the provisions of the constitution, we would not be in this problem.
Okay.
We are in a presidential system of government. But what we are seeing now in terms of the interest and the wishes of the political class is to have an hybrid system of government, where we are seeing the legislature, which is bicameral, that is National Assembly and the Senate, singing the tunes of the executive. The perception that probably the judiciary is not independent is now even causing more anxiety among Kenyans that probably institutions of government are not operating within the framework of the constitution, because the constitution is very clear on separation of powers.
Okay.
Parliament is not about Azimio and Kenya Kwanza. Parliament is an institution. When they are passing the budget, when they are interrogating the provisions of the budget, there is no budget for Azimio and there is no budget for Kenya Kwanza. It's the budget of the Republic of Kenya.
All right. And I will invite you back, because that independence of institution debate on Parliament for me, I think is key as well.